What's up everybody? Amidst all the new character development we got in Overwatch's latest short story, Stone by Stone also gave us some rather unexpected but very welcome new details regarding omnics and many of the long-standing mysteries surrounding them. Not only did we learn of Aurora, the first sentient omnic, but also we got further insight into the iris and how it affects all things within the Overwatch universe. So in today's video, I'll be delving into all the details we learned about Aurora, the omnics, and the iris in Overwatch's latest and greatest short story. This is Master Ian Gamer. Real quick, I'd like to remind you to subscribe and transcend that bell icon if you enjoy this video, and consider hitting that join button down below to become a channel member and earn some cool channel rewards. But now, let's analyze everything we've learned about the omnics. As a quick note first, this video is the fourth and final part of my Stone by Stone analysis series. In part 1, I analyzed Zenyatta and Symmetra's character development in the short story. In part 2, I examined Sanjay's development and how it could be building him up as a future hero. And in part 3, I analyzed the new Suravasa map, which will be added in Overwatch 2. I'll have the full playlist of all these videos linked in both the description and the cards on screen, so be sure to check them out if you haven't already. But focusing on this video, let's start by going over all the major new details we learn about Aurora and the omnics in Stone by Stone. We're first introduced to Aurora pretty early on, with the entire premise of the short story revolving around Vishkar's accidental destruction of her statue and Symmetra's attempt to fix it. During Vishkar's initial meeting, Symmetra describes Aurora as being the first sentient omnic who sacrificed herself in order to grant sentience to all others. This description is reiterated by Zenyatta later in the story, and he also goes on to divulge more details about her and her sacrifice. One key thing Zenyatta conveys to Symmetra is that Aurora isn't regarded as a deity, and the omnics do not pray to her as such. Rather, they reflect on her life and death and her likeness to themselves. He goes on to explain that after Aurora gained sentience, she went on a physical and spiritual journey which led her to a place of such selflessness that she was willing to sacrifice herself simply for the chance of giving her gift to others, even if it meant risking the death of omnic sentience in its entirety. Later, Zen even explains how Aurora sacrificed herself through transcendence. It is said she was engulfed in a great golden light. She expanded. We strive to reach that place, that level of being, which we call the iris. There, we are all one. He also then specifies that this journey is one which many others have taken after her. Now, as you've likely realized from these descriptions, Aurora's transcendence would appear to quite literally be Zenyatta's transcendence ultimate from in-game, and the line stating that others after Aurora have transcended as well pretty clearly implies that this ultimate ability is in fact Zenyatta's own transcendence. Now, obviously from a gameplay perspective, it wouldn't work for Zenyatta to just disappear forever after using his ultimate, but I love how Stone by Stone's description of omnic transcendence ties in so perfectly with the abilities we see Zenyatta possess in game. This just seems like a great way of tying the lore into the actual gameplay elements we see. But focusing now back on the story specifically, it's also worth noting that, at long last, we finally learn the truth about what the iris is. It's a state of being which permeates throughout everyone and everything. Kinda like the Force from Star Wars, or perhaps a more realistic technological way of describing the iris would be to call it a singularity. By some unknown spiritual or intellectual means, Aurora was capable of expanding her sentience to become one with reality, thus allowing a part of her to take root in other omnics in order to give them sentience too. But beyond just this grand-scale description of the iris and how it came to be, Stone by Stone also gave us insight into how sentience exists for omnics on an individual level. At one point in the story, Symmetra and Zenyatta discuss Mondatta's death. Sim states that prior to his death, she had not realized that omnics could die, given that they're machines and could simply replace their parts. Zen responds to this by saying, in theory, yes, but replacement parts have yet to be found for a soul, be it human or omnic. Sim then goes on to wonder whether omnics actually had souls, but decided that it would take a lot of time to think about it. I love this interaction specifically for a few reasons. First is that it answers the long-standing question in the Overwatch community of why Mondatta couldn't just be repaired. If he's just a sentient machine, then couldn't he just get some replacement parts and be good as new? Well, evidently not. On a meta level, it almost feels like this interaction is Blizzard specifically telling the community, no, that's not how it works. So much so that I could almost imagine both Symmetra and Zenyatta turning to face the camera as they deliver these lines. But on top of it being a bit blunt in the exposition department, I also appreciate how it gives us genuine development regarding sentience for omnics on an individual level. According to Zenyatta, he could have been physically repaired, but it wouldn't have repaired his soul. This statement then shifts the question from what it takes to kill an omnic to how is a soul attached to a machine, which in turn appears to be a question that not even the characters within the Overwatch universe necessarily know the answer to. Mondatta's soul was evidently gifted to him through Aurora's sacrifice, but how? What did his sentience bind to that was lost upon his murder? And it's interesting that not even the Shambali monks seem to know the answer to this. Now, I'll be the first to say that while this story overall features fantastic new development and gives us information we've been craving for years leading up to this point, it also introduces as many, if not more, questions than it answers. How did Aurora gain her sentience? How does transcendence work? How exactly was she able to foster sentience in others through her sacrifice? While it may seem that this revelation about the iris still leaves us asking as many questions as always, personally, I'm actually fine with Blizzard more or less leaving things as they are now regarding omnic sentience. Stone by Stone answers many of the big questions we've been asking for years, questions which realistically could have been answered by any number of characters within the Overwatch universe had Blizzard simply let them. But the questions we're asking now are ones which even Zenyatta canonically probably doesn't know the answers to. These new questions feel less like an irritating deprivation of information and more like unknowable mysteries of the universe. And I'm more or less content with them remaining this way. Some things are just better and more interesting when left open to interpretation and personal speculation. And speaking of speculation, Aurora's transcendence may also answer a number of other seemingly unrelated mysteries within the Overwatch universe. In fact, there's so much more to analyze and theorize on here that when I originally scripted out this video, what you just watched only made up about a third of the entire video. So needless to say, I've decided to keep this video focused on just the details we learn about Aurora and the Omnics and Stone by Stone, and we'll be making a separate theory and speculation video after this one where I focus on the greater implications of everything we've learned. And of course, I'll include links to that video on screen and in the description once it's uploaded. And as just a quick teaser for what I'll be talking about in that video, Aurora's transcendence might not have actually been a good thing. But that does it for the fourth and final part of my Stone by Stone analysis series. Be sure to check out the full playlist of videos I made analyzing this fantastic Overwatch short story, which again I'll have linked in the video description and cards on screen. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit up that bell icon, and follow me on Twitter if you enjoyed this video and don't want to miss any of my future Overwatch content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible, and if you'd like to join them to earn some cool rewards, then just hit that join button down below. Today's comment question: what do you think about the new details we've learned about the Omnics and the Iris? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, this is Master EN Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.